Okay, I guess we are live. Let's wait for people to join. We'll wait for a few seconds, 30, 40 seconds. And if you're already in, please confirm if you can hear me. I don't want to, be silent and just speak to myself. So please confirm if you can hear me. And let me actually check if you are live. Okay, give us a few seconds. Let me see. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Just give me a few seconds. Let's wait for people to join. Mm, Everything okay? Thank you, Dhanvesh. Thank you. How you doing? What's up? Okay, so today you probably know what we're doing, who we're going to interview. Pretty special guy, pretty cool man, super talented person. So it's going to be fun. Thank you for joining us today. And okay, hang on, give me just a few more seconds, and then we'll start. All right, I think we're good to go. So again, welcome guys, welcome to the stream. People will join, so let me just give you a short introduction of who we are interviewing today. So today we have Ananay with us. He's currently an undergraduate student at Arizona State University, and he has done a lot of stuff. Like if you go into specifics, the whole webinar will be about his introduction. So we'll ask him about his experience and stuff like that. But yeah, he's built amazing projects, amazing things like Time Bound and Is My Internship Cancelled. You probably know about that. And he got featured in Facebook Hall of Fame 2018. He's done a lot of stuff. Okay, so let me just bring Ananay on, and then we will start asking questions. All right.
Hi, how are you
Hey,
doing?
what's up, man? I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
All
It's
right.
9:30 p.m. in Arizona, and
Mhm.
I'm super excited for this late night interview.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for joining us. Here it's what, 10 a.m. Yeah, it's morning time. We're all fresh and ready. Okay, so let's start. People will join. Okay. So the first question, man. First, thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
We're so thankful to you. You've done so much stuff
That's
in
fine.
life.
Thanks for hosting me.
I'm a big fan actually. Like, truly, you're from DPS Arkipuram, right? Your school was.
Yes, yes. I'm from
I went
DP.
to DPS Arkipuram
Oh,
in
wow.
preschool, like those really early classes before grade
Okay.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
makes
So
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, I kind of feel like this cool vibe that we have. But
Right.
okay, so
Definitely.
let's begin. The first question: what role did you apply for, and what team will you be working with at Apple?
So I applied for a bunch of roles, I think, about six, I think. And I'll be working with, I mean, I really can't disclose the team yet,
Okay.
uh, but it's a software engineering role and more towards I think iOS side, I believe. But
Hmm.
I'll be disclosing the actual team and everything. But for now, I think I'll keep it a secret because
Yeah, we get it. Okay, cool, man. And if we can just ask, how did you apply for this internship at Apple?
I mean, there's no trick to it. I think I just went on their page. I
Mhm.
hit apply. I uploaded my resume. I connected my LinkedIn. I gave them the necessary links they need to see,
Okay.
and eventually, I mean, a few months later, I get this email that someone from Apple reached out to me for another role that I didn't even apply for.
Hmm.
So they reached out to me on their own. So I'm not sure. I think it was because of my profile being matched to some other team.
Hmm.
So I think that's how I got this. But the traditional, I didn't get an interview right after applying. I got an interview because they reached out. So it
Yeah.
was
Okay.
totally unexpected.
Hmm. Yeah. So like when we apply, they store it in the records, and then if they have a matching role, then they contact.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
how that. Cool. Okay, man. So amazing. Apple. Good stuff. So I'm really interested in asking you this question. How did all this happen? Like, where did it all start and when?
So, like my entire CS journey.
Yeah, entire CS journey of, I believe, hundreds, I mean, 8, 9 years.
So
So how did it start?
I started coding in fifth grade. When I noticed this extension, the .exe extension in Windows,
Mhm.
and I thought, I was wondering how it was made, how, because all my games and everything were had this extension called .exe. So I googled how to make an exe file. I know it's a very dumb Google question, but it's a very vague one. But it was back in fifth grade, so I just did it out of curiosity, and I ran into this programming language called Visual Basic, and that's how I started learning Visual Basic, making simple softwares and everything. But then eventually in seventh grade, I transitioned to making websites, because our um, computer science class, or web design class, I would
Mhm.
say, or computers, they used to call it computers back then. That's it. Had HTML, basics of JavaScript. That's it. So that initial spark was from that class, and that's where I took it forward. I went online. I looked up W3 schools and started making websites. And eventually, in grade eighth, I joined my high school computer club called Eggs and Clan, and
Okay.
a lot changed while I was in Eggs and Clan. I gained a lot of skills. I talked to a lot of people. I think it was like a room full of people who I would love to talk to for hours. So,
Mhm.
someone was doing um, web design, someone was doing video editing, someone was doing Photoshop, someone's doing definitely something unique. So everyone's unique. So I used to sit next to all of them and just watch them work on it and ask so many questions. And that's how I learned most of the stuff. Like, just by watching them do it, and just asking a lot of questions as to how it works. And once I was fascinated by them, I would just go home, try it all out on my computer, because that's the best part about computer science. You can just try it all out at the comfort of your desk.
Yeah, true. Uh-huh.
So that's how it started. Then in, I think, 10th, I got into security. Once I had a good grip over um, you know web protocols and everything. So got a I I gave it a shot. I gave security a shot, and my
Mhm.
first app that I pen tested was Snapchat, actually.
Oh.
And I thought I found a bug, and I even emailed the CEO of Snapchat just for fun, saying that, oh, I found a bug, and he actually forwarded it to someone um, in his security team. And I
Mhm.
got a reply from him saying that it's not a bug, but he wished me all the best for the future. That's all I got in that email. And then I started poking around, learning more stuff. And it took me about 4 years to actually before I actually found my first bounty. I think 3 years. So it was in grade 12th, end of grade 12th. I found an issue with Shazam. I found a bug
Mhm.
bounty with Shazam. That was my first bug bounty. And then in my first year, second semester, I found a bug with Facebook.
Okay.
So,
Mm. Sam, Facebook. Wow.
so that's
Man, you
how I
start,
got to that
mhm.
point.
Yeah, you started really early, like grade 5. That's super cool, man, that you
I,
developed your
I I was
interest in
just
security.
interested in all that stuff. Before that, you know, just playing games on my PSP and stuff like
Yeah.
that, or putting games from the internet, installing iOS stuff. It was just fun
Uh-huh.
stuff. I think the real fun began, and even making servers for GTS and Andrea's multiplayer. That was also one of the things I enjoyed in grade six. So, um, Yeah, that's my
Mhm.
journey. And Time Bound was made, I think. So Time Bound is an interesting project, actually. Time Bound was made when I was in when I had my drop year in between. I had my gap year in between 12th and my first year in college. So I thought of aggregating all those skills I learned over the years in Eggs and Clan, skills in
Mhm.
marketing, skills in design, skills in web development, skills in app development, and anything that must have been left out. I just got all of that together and thought, what can I do alone with my hands? So I built Time Bound, and yeah, that's about it.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, great, great stuff. Okay, and any other projects that you built, like other than Time Bound, that you think helped you in creating a strong profile for as a software engineering role?
I think, I mean, my focus was never to like have a strong profile, because the thing is, I mean, it a strong profile comes with good prod things that you think are good. If you don't think a project that you're doing is good, you will
Mm-hmm.
never have a strong profile. If it doesn't convince you, it cannot convince anyone else. So um my aim was to actually create good projects, and open source projects as well. So one of my flagship open source projects that has the most stars is Sign In with Apple, which is just a Node.js library, but it has 80,000 downloads as of now,
Mm-hmm.
and over 200 stars on GitHub.
Wow.
And I mean, my goal was to actually give back to the open source community. Working with open source has taught me a lot, I think. And honestly, this stuff, like the profile, the internship, and everything, it's just kind of like the sweet side of it.
Mm-hmm.
The reward, kind of the reward for it. So it's gonna come to you on your own, on its own, if you make a project that you think is good enough.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, and if you could talk a little bit more about how you found those bugs in Shazam and Facebook, like how do you do that? How did it happen? Like, were you just hanging out on the platform and you were like, "What the heck is this? Let's report it."
So
Like
for Shazam, I was just bored and browsing Shodan, and
that. Okay.
Shodan had come out with this report where they had um, you know URLs or IP addresses that were affected by Heartbleed. So I saw Shazam's servers in that list, and I tested those servers against Heartbleed, and they turned out to be vulnerable. So I reached out to Shazam, and they gave me a bug bounty for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
As for Facebook, there was this Facebook group that people that I was an admin of it, and there were about 4,000 people in that group, and I changed the name of that group, but I wanted to change it back. Like, I changed that group for a day name for like, I think, an hour, and I wanted to change it
Mhm.
back. But you can change your name in on Facebook once in 30 days, the group name once
Yeah.
in 30 days. So I thought, why not just give this a challenge, make this a challenge that um, I'm just gonna poke around Facebook's APIs, and I'm gonna try and change it back. So someone actually challenged me to do that, and to my
Okay.
surprise, it actually worked. Um,
Mhm.
and it was a surprise for me and the surprise for him, and that's how I got the Facebook bug bounty.
Cool, cool. Okay, man, that's a fun thing. And now a lot of people watching might be thinking, how does one begin like looking for bugs?
I
And
think
yeah.
I mean, so in the settings page of Facebook, when I was changing the group name, how I got the intuition that this might be a good place to look was, I mean, it's not the way to go, but I just got this intuition that this code might not have been touched in a while, or they must have left an obvious bug over here, because all they were doing was blurring out the disabling the text box where you change the
Yeah.
group name. And I thought maybe, instead of, if I force it to be enabled, is there a server side check for this? And turns out there wasn't. So that's how uh, I got I found this bug in Facebook groups. So I mean, if you're starting to look for it, don't just keep your eyes and ears open, and just don't skip anything. Like, try everything you can, because the things you don't try are probably going to be the ones that are the bugs that are there that might have been missed out by Facebook.
Okay. And like, so you have to be kind of mischievous, figure those things out and just be like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do something real. Let's see where they messed up.
Yeah, totally. I think that's the way to go when it comes to finding security issues.
Okay. And like now, some people think that maybe we don't have enough skills, enough knowledge. So how does one decide that, okay, now maybe if I look for bugs, I'll be able to do something about them?
I
Like.
think it's more about understanding how things work. So you should know web development. You should know how HTTP works, how HTTP protocols work, how these apps work. You need to know what's going on behind the scenes, and so that's one way. But now, I mean, when I started, the bug bounty community didn't publish a lot of information on how they did these cool hacks or whatever they do. But now, like, there's an entire website dedicated to this called bugreader.com, for example. So you can actually go ahead and see, if you understand how people are actually pulling off these attacks. And once you start understanding them, I think that's when you know how to actually exploit and find bugs in these kind of services.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Uh, all right. And next, how do you advise someone to prepare for SE interview
Oh, okay. Software engineering interviews.
in general?
Uh, I think there's no trick to it. I mean, just do a lot of lead code, I think. Um, because lead code has the best questions, I guess. You don't need to be a competitive programmer to just make sure your concepts are right. Your concepts are on spot. Make sure you know those DP problems, those
Hmm.
hash map problems, you know how to do those. uh, all those
Yeah.
things. I think you should do a sufficient amount of questions on lead code to actually get hang of all those problems. So there again, there's no trick to it. Just make sure your data structures and algorithms are strong, but also, like, those shouldn't be the only thing that's strong, because to get selected for an interview, you need a good profile, and
Mhm.
that's why you need the other stuff. And it's not only just DS algo that you talk about. I mean, in my interview, I talked a lot about the projects I'm doing. I mean, I talked to both my interviewers for at least an hour, even though my interview part with only the DS algo part of it was only 25 minutes long. So the rest 35 minutes I was only talking to them. And if you can talk to them as if like they're your coworkers, if you can talk to them in the same vocabulary. If I'm talking Kubernetes, the other person understands Kubernetes, and I should too. So we should be discussing problems as if we were working together. So they'll be automatically be like, okay, I want to work with this person. So that was my experience in interviewing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good tip. Hmm. Okay, and now the next question. See, I've met so many students who ask me, how do I find my field of interest? There's so many fields, and it's
Right,
overwhelming. Like, people see, okay, MLAI is popping these days, so maybe I should go
right,
do that. But there's so many
right.
fields, and how does one decide like which is that one thing that they could
I
really
think
work?
you need to try all of them because I mean I'm still exploring myself. I'm not sure if I'll go into security, if I'll go into ML. Um, I'm not sure which field I'm exactly going to tap into. But for now, I'm stuck with software engineering, I guess. But definitely something that has a larger impact is what's going to appeal to me. I mean, security, sure, does is always going to have an impact. Like there are always going to be security issues. AI is going to impact in a different way. So AI is more towards the constructive side. Security is more towards the destructive side,
Right.
and um, it totally depends on whether you want to create things or do you want to, if you have fun in destroying things and protecting people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you it totally depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you want to have a startup, an AI startup, then you would obviously go for AI, or you will look into these technologies have that are going to change the world, because ML, AI, all of these have existed for a while, of course, but now with all that processing power that you have, I think that's what's pushing it forward. And all these tools that you have, like Google Colab, and I mean, I think there are better people to advise you when you need AI advice, but you're seeing it everywhere that there are a lot of advancements that are going to happen. So it's totally up to you which path you want to choose. I think just touch every part of it, but do what you like. Yeah, that's the only
Totally, for sure.
advice I would give. That just if you love doing it, you will perform your best in it.
Mm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because when I started, like when I started coding in grade 11, the school
Yeah,
basic stuff, very basic stuff. But then
yeah,
I really dived into it after grade 12, and at that point, I dived into almost all fields, web, ML. I actually spent a good amount of money. I invested a good amount of money in learning in each of these fields, doing different courses. But then after trying each and every field, that's when I realized that okay, iOS is something, making iOS apps, that's something that I
exactly,
love to do.
exactly.
And then I really did some good things, had some good
Right,
achievements in that space. And then I thought that okay, I'm done with it now. I'm going to move into product management. So this is
right.
also something
That
that I
makes
would like to
sense.
add. It's okay to change like your fields. People think that okay, इस field में घुस गए
Yeah,
तो
don't be
ये करना है.
fixated on one thing. Have an open mind when it comes to choosing a field. And also, I mean, for me, I really love web. I love the power of the web because it scales so well. Like you once I make a web app, it can work on my computer, it can work on my phone. And when you're designing these beautiful interfaces, I think the web is the best platform to do that. So when you're making a website, I personally love the web for this reason, and that's why I love making websites. So but you should definitely find your passion. But if you want to target a lot of people, make sure you make a web app as well.
Yeah, sure, guys, please make a web app and then make the decision of what's your passion. Okay. Next, now see you've done a lot of stuff in the field of cybersecurity, and there are a few
Right,
people that want to know because there's not much awareness about cybersecurity. I've seen students dive into mobile, web, or data science, but cybersecurity is still like not that much around, at least here
right.
in India. So what would you say to someone that wants to begin in the field of cybersecurity? How do they do that? How do they start?
I mean, again, learning the technologies and how, like, if you're trying to hack a web app, you need to know how a web app works, as I said,
Yeah.
and um, you know, you need to know how apps work as well in order to hack an app, right? You need to
True,
know
true.
how it's communicating. If Facebook's using GraphQL, for example, because I mean, read up Facebook's engineering blogs, what technologies they use. So, for example, Facebook uses GraphQL, and if you want to find bugs, you need to know how GraphQL works, and then you can look up the potential issues that you can exploit with GraphQL, or maybe find some hidden information that you can extract out of the database, so that can look as a bug.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you can go about it. But other than that, there are certain things that you can learn from courses. So there's this 14-hour video. When someone asks me how to start, I definitely point them to this 14-hour video teaching the different tools in Kali Linux, for example. So there's security researchers that you can pursue. Like, there's security research that you can pursue. You can become a security researcher. So I currently am a security researcher at Arizona State University, and you need to know certain things, the tools in, for example, Kali Linux or stuff like that. You need to know your way around Linux for sure. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty good advice. Now, I guess it's the last question before we take questions from the viewers.
Sure.
Okay. See, you have years of experience in the tech space, coding, etc. You've done a lot of stuff. So, what one advice would you give to young people trying to make it big in the industry? One advice,
One advice, trying to make it, just be
or two
passionate.
advice, or three.
Okay. Okay. I mean, just be passionate, believe in yourself, um, have a lot of connections. I think networking is the biggest thing that can help you. And if you're trying to learn something, try to approach the best person possible in that field and get advice from them. So, for example, if I'm trying to target, let's say UI, okay, if I'm trying to make a good UI, I would approach a person who spends all his time doing UI, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure you have these connections so you can go to them and personally ask them that, okay, does this look good to you? How does this look to you? Or,
Yeah.
for example, if I'm making, so for time bound, for example, I knew a friend of mine who was good with distributed systems and everything in AWS, and he knows how to scale and everything. I didn't have any clue about that stuff, and I didn't want my app to crash. So I reached out to him and I asked him, hey, can you tell me, can you give me some tips? Can you tell me if I'm doing this right, if I'm doing this wrong? It's just advice. You don't have to open up your code and make them go through thousands of lines. If someone can do that, that'll be great. But
Mm-hmm.
make sure you're making the effort, but use your connections efficiently. I cannot stress enough on that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
LinkedIn is a
man.
great place. But if you know them in person, that's even better. And make sure, I mean, make sure you, if you can, schedule a video call with them if they're free. So ask them when they're free to talk and schedule a call with them, and that gives a personal touch. So when they want help from you, they can always reach out to you. So make great connections. I think that's the number one advice on my list.
Yeah, and again, like the worst thing that can happen is they'll say, "No, I'm
Oh,
busy."
yeah,
But
that's it.
I've
But
seen
there are a
like
lot of people out there. There's
people
someone
they,
will
yeah,
eventually say yes to you. And I
yeah,
mean, it's
definitely.
not just me. I mean, one of Steve Jobs' videos, he reached out to Hewlett Packard, um, and I think Bill Hewlett, I think, is the one who picked up the phone himself, and he gave him an internship that summer. So I mean, it's not just me; it's worked for the best people as well. So networking doesn't hurt you at all.
True, very true. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now, guys, any questions
I see a lot
besides
of questions.
today? Okay, so this question, Keshav Sharma, you need a kind of security breach to find bugs.
So security breach is when something is actually leaked out. So security breach is, you don't need a security breach, you need to find a vulnerability. So it's important to get the terminology right here, because when you're searching for information on the internet, make sure you look up vulnerabilities. And once you find a vulnerability in the product, that's when you can craft an exploit. An exploit is something, basically, I mean, as the name suggests, you're exploiting a vulnerability. You're, if you know, if a door is open, for example, or if, for example, you're in a building and there are 10 doors, and then you find a door that you can just that's really easy to break into. You know that, okay, if I insert like this, kind of like this pin or something, that'll open it up. If a ballpoint pen can, for example, pick that lock, then that's a vulnerability with that in that building, right? And that's how you
Yeah.
can get in.
Hmm.
So make sure you look up the correct term. So that's how first you find the vulnerability, and then um, you move on to find crafting an exploit. So that's how you go about it. But feel free to reach out to me personally if you need have some more questions about that thing.
Yeah, guys, all the links to Ananay social media are in the description. So, reach out if you need any help. Okay, now Shreyas is asking what.
Shreyas, team, are you going to join Apple? And I'm going to be really transparent. Shreyas is actually one of my best friends who's joined the stream, and he is himself an actual Apple intern this summer.
Oh,
He himself is also an Apple intern, and he knows that I can't really disclose right now what my team is.
maybe
So I'm
that's
not, obviously not. But so Shreyas is actually more on the hardware side of things.
okay.
He's joining a hardware. He is a software. He's worked at Google as a software engineer, and super talented guy. And now he's going into, but he loves hardware more. As I said, follow your passion. So he knows software, but he's passionate about hardware. So he's actually going into hardware at Apple, even though he worked as a software engineer at Google. So yeah.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice.
Should
Next
I be
question.
doing the thing that I'm very excited about, or something that will get me a job like competitive programming? Okay, competitive programming simply does not, it can get you an interview, I'm not sure, but um I think there should be a balance. I mean, there should be a balance of doing things like web design or app development, because they're going to make you do that stuff. If you don't have those skills, you can't do a lot of stuff with competitive programming. You need to know some stuff, or at least have tried some stuff, right? But of course, if you can come first in Google Kickstart, that'll be great. So just knowing theoretical computer science is not enough. I think that's, and I would say that's, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying just have a balance, like where you feel that, okay, you can solve a majority of the competitive programming problems, and also have something that excites you. It may delay things, but maybe it can get you a job today, but it can also delay things. There's no one correct way to uh, do things. And also, if you're doing something that you're excited about, you might be spend inclined to spending more time doing that, and you'll give it your best, and you might make a difference.
Hmm. Yeah, great, great advice. Okay, Tanmesh, I hope that answers the question. All right, guys, any other questions?
Sure.
We're
Yeah.
almost done with all the questions that I wanted to ask. And now, yeah, Q&A time, guys. Any question, please ask, and then we'll do a fun rapid fire round. Okay, it's going to be really quick, really short. 10 questions, and
Then
then,
I just hope it's not hard, because I've
yeah,
never done something like this on a live stream.
yeah, that's why I made it like pretty easy, basic stuff.
Let's hope
Look,
it's
yeah,
easy.
I think, yeah, I think we're almost done with all questions. Should we start the rapid fire round? Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Let's see what
Really?
you have.
Okay.
Yes, I'm
All
ready.
right. Okay, so Ananay, first question. Wait, hang on. Yeah. All right. So first question is very basic: tea or coffee?
Tea or coffee? Okay, I don't like coffee. I'm gonna be pretty transparent about it. And I would say tea because it's not that bad, and I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for calling it not bad because most of your audience is gonna love tea. So, and I've had tea before, and it's if I'm forced to have either of them, I would go for teas. But
Mhm.
as for every day, I don't drink either of them.
Okay, so let me just remind you the rules. You have to be very quick in answering, like three
I mean,
seconds max.
oh,
Okay,
okay.
so just.
I'm just giving an elaborate answer because that wasn't like a one word answer.
Uh-huh.
So, okay,
And that's
tea.
that's the fun part. Like you just have to give one word answer.
Okay, I'll try
Okay,
my best.
all right. Second question: fiction or non-fiction?
Fiction.
Okay, 100 days without phone or 100 days with no in-person interaction.
100 days without phone.
Nice, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
describe yourself in one word.
Um, Curious.
Okay, DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
iPhone or Android?
Oh, Android.
Oh, okay. Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Nice. Okay, what is that one thing, moment, or achievement in your life that you're the most proud of?
Most proud of? I mean, at this point, I'm happy to get an internship because I think that opens a lot of doors. Um, I think because it's with a big company, and I'm excited to meet, the best people in the industry. I don't know if this was a rapid fire question because this can be a really long answer.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. Okay,
But yeah, carry on. Yeah.
yeah, all right. So, if you could take one person out to dinner, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, dead or alive? Oh, okay. Elon Musk, because I think
Mm,
he's a pretty cool guy.
yeah. Okay. Last, $1 million or 1 million followers? Shoot,
Dollars. I think followers. I think no, I mean dollars because followers are
dollars.
just
Okay.
followers are just numbers. Like that's
Mhm.
just a variable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very true. Okay, and now one last thing that I wanted to put you through, a message for the 10 years into the future, Ananay.
Oh, okay. Okay, now this is not rapid fire. This is more
Yeah,
than a rapid
that is the
fire
last
round.
question. So,
Um, 10 years into the future, think twice before every action you're making. Make sure you have the necessary experience. Make sure whatever you're doing with in good faith. Make sure you're trying your best to make it impact. And yeah, that's about it, I guess.
mhm.
I have to think about if I'm writing a 10-year message,
Uh-huh.
10 to the 10 years later on an A. I think and I hope you've achieved more than you've done currently. So make sure the goals that I have set now, make sure you've achieved them by now. So yeah, I think that's more of a lecture to the 10 years later Ananay. And yeah.
Yeah, no, pretty cool. I'll send you this clip. I'll crop it out and send it to you 10 years
Oh my
later.
god.
Okay,
No,
man. So,
I had the memory of an elephant, so I'll probably remember to actually watch this interview and jump to this specific part where I talk to my 10 years myself 10 years later. So yeah.
mhm. Yeah, cool.
Okay, we have some more questions coming in, so I think we should ask them now that the
Yeah,
rapid
I'm
fire.
almost. Yeah, everything
Uh,
is over now. Rewinding
um,
it up. Before that, there's this question
yeah, yeah, yeah.
here. Mhm.
What do you think about cross-platform frameworks? So, what exactly are you referring to? Which
I
exact
believe
what
he's referring to Flutter.
Flutter and React, some sort of like that stuff, right? So I think React Native. I mean, I built Timebound in React Native. I think it's great because I'm a web developer myself, and I would, uh, recommend it. But React Native also has its flaws. I had a hard time getting it. I've had its nightmares. I've had some nightmares using it. After using it, of course, I've had some late nights dealing with it, struggling with it. But overall, I think it's a great platform. But I think Facebook itself needs to work a little bit on it, because when you compare Flutter, um, Flutter is simple because updating, like, all the issues with React Native. So when you're, for example, one huge issue with React Native is going from one version of React Native to another, and that's why Timebound's development has really slowed down because of that. It has really impacted me. But Flutter, all those issues are solved. Like, you just type Flutter update and then Flutter is updated. But for Flutter, the good part, so there are good parts. Flutter is a very new thing, and I love how Google is working a lot on it. So for React Native, you had these, the basic stuff was made by the community, not I see that comment right there. React Native is crazy buggy, and I agree with that, because a lot of the stuff is actually made by the community and is dependent on open source. You're depending on the open source community to fix the bugs. Google, on the other hand, is actually working on these components, making these really nice tutorials, and really pushing Flutter from their end, because they have the best engineers working on Flutter, and making components for Flutter. So it's really easy for you to actually pick up Flutter if you're starting out. And I started out with I started with Flutter recently, and I found it really easy, the way it integrates with VS Code, the way you can just simply add the basic stuff real quick. Even though it's Dart, even though it's a language I've never done before, I think it was really nice. They've done a real good job. So kudos to Google for that. And the open source community does not need to do a lot of work just to for others to make a basic app. Whereas for React Native, it gets complex, as your app gets more complex.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience with React Native. A lot of people, I think there are better people to advise on this. Arnav Gupta is one of the best persons to advise on this, I think, because he's
Mhm.
been doing Android for a lot of time. And I talked to him about, again, networking. And I talked to him about Zomato's tech stack, because, he was the mobile leader or something, like
Yeah.
some product lead or something on the Zomato app, and Zomato is one of the biggest apps in India. And he told me that how they're pushing out updates, um, how they're actually maintaining users, and still sticking to native Android development instead of cross-platform network. Of course, React Native has its good parts to it as well. So, for example, you get hot code pushing. Now, hot code pushing is basically, without updating the app, you can just release an update, and the phone itself will download the JavaScript bundle in the background, and your app is going to run it. But I'm not sure that's possible with native. Maybe there's some new feature to do that. But hot code pushing has been a thing in React Native, and Microsoft actually developed it. Again, Facebook didn't make it. Microsoft actually made React Native code push. So it's the community that's actually driving React Native and keeping it alive. And it's been 5 years. But Flutter, again, on the other hand, I would really recommend Flutter. If you're starting with something, I would recommend Flutter personally, because Flutter has this support by Google, a lot of support by Google. and a lot of tutorials and everything that you can follow. And I think it's a great, and also with Flutter being the new thing, there's a lot of demand for Flutter developers. So since it's a new technology, make the most out of it.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah,
my
right.
opinion on this.
Okay. Oh, okay. So there's, I guess, another question.
Course to
Course.
learn advanced hacking technologies. There's a free 14-hour video on Free Code Camp by Free Code Camp on YouTube. I don't know how do I link to it on this live stream, but wait, I can just uh tell you guys what to search for. So yeah, just go on YouTube, search for ethical hacking course. It's gonna be the first video. It's gonna be a 14-hour video by Free Code Camp. Just go watch that. Just go do all of it. You will learn something. And again, go on bugreader.com, see how people are exploiting, you know, websites. There are going to be tons of articles. So learn the necessary stuff, see how other people are doing it, learn from these tutorials, and you should be having some background of how hacking works.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I hope that you will find the course. I actually looked it up. I guess it's by the name Full Ethical Hacking Course, Network Penetration Testing
It
for
should be by
Beginners.
Free Code Camp.
Yeah, it's by Free Code Camp. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Just search ethical hacking video and you'll find it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Any other question? Otherwise, we'll wind it up. It's been 46 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you, Abhishek, and of course everyone else. Yeah, there have been some great questions. So let's take a few more questions, and then we can call
Hmm.
it a day.
Yeah, guys. Any other question? This is the time, and you won't. You know, Ananay is like super talented person, and I'm so thankful that he is giving us his
Thanks for
time
hosting me. I mean,
right now.
I think I'm just like one of you guys. I mean, there's no. I mean, it's just we're all
Yeah,
in the
but
same.
you're doing really good for yourself, and I'm really so proud of you. And I hope you really enjoy this internship. It starts tomorrow, right? Or day after.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's the after. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So I guess there's no other questions. But if you do have any questions, all the links to Ananay's social
Yeah.
media are in the description. Reach
Yeah.
out to
Feel free
him.
to message me on LinkedIn. And oh yeah, wait. How to land at Fang?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I think so. I get this question a lot. Like it just says how to get a job at Fang, how to get a job at Google, how to get a job at Facebook. And I would say, like, be a little more specific about your question. What do you want help with? Because you need to do a little bit of research yourself. If you want to land a job at Fang, I mean, okay, I think if you just ask that question, um, if you just ask that question, how to land a job in Fang, I would just say just go on the website and apply with your resume. I mean, and just there's no trick to it, but just be a little more specific as to what you want to ask me, because that's a very ambiguous question right there. Oh, as a penetration testing role. Okay, makes sense. Now it makes much more sense. Um, Again, look up the job requirements for that. Make sure you know a lot of that stuff that they're asking for, because companies have different requirements. And make sure you know things like binary analysis, and depending on what the team requires. I mean, it totally depends. Myself, I'm not a security researcher, so but I'm not a security researcher at Fang, but I know like what requirements are there. So make sure you fulfill those requirements, but that does not guarantee you a job. um, but make sure you're doing what you love. And uh, yeah, that's pretty much my advice. I mean, try to find as many bugs as possible, and that might strengthen up your resume, of course, but yeah, make sure you show that when you're interviewing, make sure you show that you're actually passionate about that. So yeah, that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and guys, if you wanna know how you can write an awesome resume, because though it's just a sheet of paper, but a lot of companies do resume screening their first round. I just uploaded a video on that a few hours back, so go check it
Yeah,
out. And
it's really important to have a great resume. I mean, be sure to not exceed 1 page because that's really important.
yeah.
So yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free. All my social media links are going to be down below. Make sure to send me a message on LinkedIn or give me a follow on Twitter. I'll follow back. And uh, okay, wait, another question. Development is looked down upon in my college, and competitive programming is some god power. Okay, so I mean, here's the thing. Believe in yourself. I mean, if people in your university, people around you are actually um, looking down upon development, be yourself. Go with what the global community says. And even if you don't, you can disagree with them. And if you disagree with them, if there's a rule, break it. And that's what makes things go forward. So if they're saying that but think about this way, do all of them have jobs in FANG if they are saying that competitive programming is like a god power and development is looked down upon in your college? um, if you're talking about the curriculum over there in your university, then I would definitely say that you should go out of the way um, and do something that you love doing. So competitive program is a great skill to have. I'm not saying that, but it shouldn't be the only skill to have. There should be a balance of things. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and like again, the thing is, I mean, you're good at competitive programming, but what are you doing with it? Like you have to do some sort of development. You have to be doing something.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't just do competitive
If you know
coding
how
and
to cut wood, so if for example, Abhishek knows how to cut wood better than me, say for example, and but if he can cut wood better, is he if he's it depends if he's making a house out of it, right? It like if you know if you know how to use your tools, are you actually making something out of them? Like you know how to make good algorithms, but if you're not using those algorithms to make anything for businesses or consumers, then what's the point? So think about it
mm,
this way: are you make you can make a direct impact with development. So it's these things go hand in hand. You cannot just throw one thing out of the window. So soon I'll start working on a project to make something better than a product of F5 Inc. Are you talking about Fortune 5? Fortune top 500 or F6? I'm not sure what he's referring to. It's gonna be more than $20 million. Any tips? So wait, let me first look this up. What you're referring to? Oh, F5 networks. Oh, okay. Depends on what kind of project are you working on. I mean, make sure um if it's an app, I mean, it depends on what you're working on. Totally depends. I think it's a B2B product. So if you're making something for consumers, if you're making something for a business, I think just make sure you're not disappointing them by having any security issues in it, because security issues it's a service. Okay, make sure your service does not have any security issues. Make sure people can easily access it. So test that thing out, test that service out on if I mean again if it has an interface on it, right? If it has an interface on it, then make sure the interface looks really nice. get some inspiration from the internet, make sure it's easy to use. If it's, a service, try your best to make it as reliable as possible. Make sure to make it secure, because, for example, if you make an IoT device, for example, the first thing that you'll think of is security, right? Because a lot of, I mean, you must have seen the industry that the S in IoT actually stands for security, meaning there is no security in IoT. So you need to work hard on the things that are important. So make a list of priorities. That's make a list of priorities. That's, you know the important stuff that's important for you to focus on. So if you're making IoT project, your first thing should be security, and second should be reliability, because you don't want anyone to watch you through your camera. So think of the things that are important.
Mm. Yeah, man. Do that, okay? All right. So I have we've covered good questions. It's been 56 minutes. Okay, another question.
Okay, can we have Ananay after his internship is over, so that he can sure totally, I'll try my best to talk about as much as I can. Although, um, yeah, I'll try my best to talk as much as I can, share as much as I can. Maybe it can help you guys out. But yeah, definitely, I'll do another one with Abhishek.
Yeah, man, it would be good to have you back. And yeah, guys. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking around, for asking questions, and thank you, Ananay, again for
Yeah,
giving us
sure,
time and
sure,
being with us. So,
sure,
guys,
awesome.
subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and again, check out Ananay's social media profiles. All the links are in the description. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
All right,
awesome.
man. Awesome. I'll see you again soon. And guys, everyone stay safe. And
Yeah, everyone stay safe and have a good one.
yeah, all right. So let's end the stream. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys. I'll see you in a bit.
yeah.